What's up, guys? Master Styles here. Welcome you back to Inside Gaming, your go-to source for all things Eternal Evolution. And today, finally, I've been putting it off long enough. The new Ultimate tier list is here, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make the changes, make some updates in terms of what is what, because since the last tier list, we had Awakening for Barag. We also had an Awakening for Carabin, and we know how crazy Carabin has been, and he's in D tier right now. And of course, Amat had an Awakening too. So again, a lot to cover. We're gonna get on into it, and of course, we have a couple of new heroes that was added to the game, and we'll go over them too. So you want to stick around for that. So to start out with the changes, right? We're gonna go through each letter per se in no particular order and move some people around. And the first person that's gonna get moved is Maz. So my reason for moving Maz, because I have him here in B tier, is because again, outside of using him on the Vanguard team in PvP, that's the only time I really use him. Maybe in some other modes where you need an additional healer or you're running the Vanguards themselves, you may put him in there. But for me right now, I want to move him down to D tier. I know we invested a lot into Maz, but right now, him being at B tier, you don't really use him. And plus, you have better options, right? If you have your Canis built out, that's definitely a better way to go, right? In terms of gaining additional HP. So the next person that we're going to move is the person that was next to him is Danix. Again, I'm moving Danix because on the energy team right now, we're more focused on that Atlas side. Once some of the Terran or Windfear energy heroes starts to get more an awakening, then maybe her value can go back up. But for right now, I'm gonna have her in. Actually, I was thinking about putting her in C tier, but realistically, it's rare that you use her. But I don't want to push her as far as down into NU. But I'll put her here in C tier for right now, because again, you'll use her, right? And she's still tanky. You could put her up front in some instance, but again, I just don't see myself using her, right? So Danix there is definitely getting bumped down to C tier. Next up, we have Wamigan. Wamigan again is similar to that of Maz. You really only use him in PvP, right? And of course, now you're using them because either you have him at Awaken 9 and you get that additional damage increase and damage reduction. But other than that, you're not really using Wamigan, which is, unfortunate. I think that if they would have come out with a game mode where you can utilize these older Awaken heroes, you put a lot of investments into these heroes, especially resources, I should say. Or if you spend money on the game, now it's at a point where eventually he'll get down to NU where you're not using him, because PvP is a final frontier for certain heroes. He doesn't really bring nothing to the team, and he's for himself. So again, you're not gonna stick around if that's all you're doing. So Wamigan is definitely gonna get bumped down to D tier for me personally, right? If you disagree, you can let me know down in the comments, right? Next up, we have Sif. Similar situation to Wamigan, where you're not really using her, but for right now, she's just not cutting it for me, right? I have other options that I can go in PvP and PvE. Yes, you may have her at Awaken 9 or higher, but for the sake of getting some additional increase in your damage and damage reduction, I would rather run some other units, maybe Cena in her place, and obviously Serve is up there, but at the same time, we just don't have space for her on the team. That's also the other thing. And she's not doing the big damage because, Amat's doing crazier damage. But for right now, I'm going to also move Sif down into D tier, right? Not even C. C is if you're potentially being used, right? In certain particular situations. But again, outside of PvP, I wouldn't even say. Actually, I would have said outside of PvP, but again, she just doesn't make the team, right? Maybe you have her, but for me, she's not making my team. So sorry, Sif, you're gonna be moved down to D tier. So again, the other person there is Aaron. Aaron is kind of in the same situation where Danix is, and you'll use Aaron in some situations, but his damage isn't that great. So that's kind of one of the issues that you'll run into in running him. Like if you're a newer account, maybe he'll be good there. But for mid to veteran players, you can run Rose. Rose most likely going to do better there. There's also Neja. Neja's going to be a little bit better there. But again, moving Aaron down into C tier is the way to go. And I know if you're looking at a spreadsheet and it's not reflecting what I'm saying, I have to make these changes on the spreadsheet. Some of them are up to date. Just leave me alone, right? Okay, I have a lot going on. So again, this here is the update for C. I still have one more person that I want to move. I also want to move Trojan too, because this is a similar situation. No spacing for him. Very rare moments where you use him. Yes, he can increase your damage, and he gives you that 8 seconds invincibility at the beginning of the fight. But a lot of heroes can remove invincibility at this point. So we're going to move him down to D tier because of the fact that no space for him, right? You're not going to use him. So since we made our moves in terms of the heroes in B tier, now we're going to add on one of the new heroes, right? And the new hero I'm actually going to pick is Airbear. For me, Airbear right now, where he was bad when he came out, and then he got better, and now he's just okay. So for me, I want to put him here in B tier, right? Just leave him there. Again, you could argue that it's B plus, right? Because, he just doesn't do it for me, right? Again, I'm not a Vanguard fan, so I might be biased. So Mayhem, let me know in the comments if you want to give Airbear a higher rating, maybe an A, right? I'll just keep him at a B. We can change it later. But right now, I have him there at a B. He hasn't really shown me much in terms of, but he is doing crazy damage. So you know what? Actually, let's make that switch right now. We'll put him here. We'll put him right there, right? Put him in A. Now that I'm thinking about it, because the damage does do pretty well. So that is that there. Next, we'll go to the changes that we're going to make in A tier, right? So first up, we're going to start with Claire. We'll move Claire down to B tier because, again, there's also Becky, and a lot of this is spacing, because if it's a 5-man team, you're not going to have space. And also Barag is awakened, so keep that in mind. So again, the move is because of the damage that she's putting out. You could potentially still lose her in PvP if you have her at Awaken 9 or 10. That's kind of where the value comes from. But other than that, you're really not putting her in, because even in PvE, the content that she's supposed to be great, she's just not doing a good amount of damage. But again, the value is the PvP portion, where she gives that increase in damage at Awaken 9 and Awaken 10. So Claire, moving down to B tier is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have Rick. Rick is also going to be moved down to the B tier. Have him here similar to that of Claire, spacing. Still like him because of the 25% execution. Great in Twilight Lands, and you can put him in there and can survive. He's definitely do some big damage. So again, I like him for that there. PvP, chances are you probably I don't even have him at Awaken 9. I still have him at a 7, and I never really pushed him further than that. So I wouldn't even talk about the PvP side of it. So again, it's just for the execution. That's really why he's here. That's really what it is. It is what it is, right? Next up, we have Take. I know I had Take up there, but again, I have to move him down into B tier because, again, outside of the fact that he has his passive there that protects the Atlas energy heroes, you're not using him anywhere else. He needs an awakening. Once he gets an awakening, there's really nothing that's going to stop him from going to S+, because again, he's still going to have that passive where he protects the Atlas energy heroes. And for his awakening, I hope they open it up to energy heroes, right? That would be pretty nice. But Take there, put him down into B tier. Next up, we have our boy Bergman. We have to drop him down because, again, it's one of those things where you're not really running to use him in PvE, right? You could. I'm like thinking of all the instances where you can pull him up, but he is our boy, so I'm a little biased, right? I'm not gonna move the Berg down because I actually like this unit, so I'm biased there. Maybe you'll give him a lower rating than me, but again, keeping him there in B tier, it's okay. I like him there. It's actually semi okay. You'll still use him in certain instances, right? PvP, you can throw him in there. He's always gonna do great in Interstellar, of course, because of that additional HP. He's great there. But that's all I have to say for the Berg. He's just a spacing issue for this guy. Next up, we got Akai. Originally, I gave Akai this rating because, again, we couldn't see the value in him, right? Because, his ultimate pulled you in the middle. It was always in the middle. It was like, okay, that's annoying. But it ended up becoming a thing that actually helped out, especially if you were running him in the last Endless Battles with the Serve and Abaddon. Speaking about Abaddon, we'll transition into him in a second. But again, this guy here, definitely Akai, I want to put him up here. Yeah, because again, you're going to use him in any instance where you can slot him in there. You're going to use him because of his common skill. His common skill is so great that you're constantly doing more AoE damage, and that's definitely the reason why. Outside of that, that's it. And of course, he got cheated and stuff like that, but other than that, that's just all it is, right? And again, the good thing about that is that for him, that's something that's not really gonna go away. Like, think about that. That's not gonna go away. So again, that hero there is somebody you definitely want to invest in, because again, it's based off of his skill. It's not based off of his damage, because when it's based off of your damage, you're gonna eventually get power creep. But with him, the skill and the increase in damage, unless it's somebody that's going to give you more than that, he's going to be sitting on the PvE team for a long time, right? That's just my opinion there. So again, bumping him up to S plus is definitely the way to go, right? So again, another new hero that was added to the game, Abaddon. In Endless Battles, him and Serve had an interesting, thing going on where he was converting her shields instead of his own shields, because the Koden couldn't tell the difference because he has on shield, and it just converts it. So again, he ended up doing trillions of damage. Trillions. He was doing 3,000 trillion damage. Just let that sink in, right? That's a lot. So again, outside of that, right? Like, when I think about him outside of that, it's similar to that of Earbeer. We haven't really seen what he's fully capable of, right? Because again, I feel like if you add on another hero that could potentially aid in what he already does, then potentially his value will go up. So for right now, I'm just gonna put him here in B tier, right? I could see him being there, right? Because again, originally I wanted to give him A, but I'm thinking about the tank team, right? Like, if you're running a tank team, we'll pull up the tank team here. We have Panda, Connor, Candace. I actually use Orton, right? And you can potentially use Teresh, but then you'll have Rez, Candace, and a slot for somebody else. Maybe if it's Interstellar, you could put in Abaddon in there because they'll most likely push him. But again, for me, the 6th slot could be whoever you choose, and he may be an option. Even the Uguay guy over here could be also another option. So again, having him there at B, maybe I'm still leaning towards A because he is new, right? So you're gonna get some value there in certain instances. So we'll just give him the A for right now. But yeah, let's just give him the A. Now that I'm thinking about it, because you're gonna end up slotting them in there in some game modes where you gain bonus for adding some of these heroes. So they'll push him there, especially Endless Battles, all of that. You'll end up using him. So give him the A. Now that I'm thinking about it, right? So again, we'll have him there in A tier. Next changes that I want to make is actually S plus. S plus changes, we're gonna move Ares down. Ares is gonna get dropped down to actually S tier, right? Because again, Ares, great in PvP, right? Because again, he converts damage reduction and also HP, which is a great combination. When you get him to Awaken 9 and 10, you'll get the increase damage, and then of course the increase of damage reduction, which he loves that. So he's pretty good there. Again, you also have other vanguards that are there, Heimdall on all of that, but with him, he excels in all of the vanguard content, right? Whether it be Twilight Lands, Endless Battles, and of course Exotic Expedition is a lot for him. But again, that's probably because I haven't built out my vanguards. That's also another thing. Not really a fan of vanguards. Gotta get that out there every time. But again, we'll give him S here, and I have to make that change in the spreadsheet. I can hear it now. What you're saying doesn't match up with the spreadsheet. I'm gonna change the spreadsheet after the tier list video. Leave me alone. All right, next up we have Nord. I'm gonna actually bump Nord down into S tier because it's just missing something, right? Because again, outside of the energy content PvP, you'll need to get to him to Awaken 7 to start seeing stuns, and the stuns are actually pretty good. If you can lock the enemy units into it, it's actually pretty effective. But again, maybe if you bring him up to Awaken 9 and 10, he may be pretty good. Maybe. I don't know how. I stopped at 7. So if you brought him to higher than that, let everybody know how he is. So I'll keep him there. Next up, we have Smith. Smith is just dropping because, again, spacing. His biggest issue is spacing, and he needs to die to get out that big damage. I thought they were going to awaken Smith, right? Which would have been interesting, but they chose not to. So, again, Smith, gotta move him down because, again, I find myself not using him, right? So, for me, I'll move him down to A tier there. Like him there. He still can get it done, but again, when you have a guy that you can put in, this guy you have to wait for him to die. Smith is one of the boys too, of course, but at the same time, this having to waiting for him to die to start seeing the big damage. Yes, he also gives you damage increase, but that's going to work faster when he dies, and he doesn't die fast enough, which is crazy. And you can't heal the turret. That's also another thing. You need Canis to make the turret bigger, and the turret tends to die faster. So that's why he's down here. That's where the deduction is coming from. And also, we're gonna have to move Rose, right? The reason being is because when I think about Neja actually, I'll pull it up here. Neja actually do more damage, right? And that came afterwards, because before, when he first came up, we were like, oh, this guy's not that great. And I used him and I was like, wow, he's actually doing some big things. So again, Rose is actually gonna get a bump down all the way down to B tier, because again, I can't put her in A because I just said Neja does a good amount of damage, and putting her next to him, it's not the same. And I'm looking at Little Wu there with all the people that are around him. And of course, there's Ravenna, and then there's Skino. Skino's value remains because of the new hero that we're going to talk about in a second, right? So again, keeping Rose down there in B tier, I like that. Let's just have her there. Again, that is that for S+. I don't think anybody else is moving. Canis, I still like him up there. Deji, of course, that's a must. Connor, still like him there because of the protection. Seikai and Wukong, of course. Like, Wukong. I love using Wukong in Interstellar. Beautiful. And of course, Dora. Dora's still good. Dorgon drop is still a thing, and she stay right there. So no additional changes. If you disagree with the S+ tier, let me know down in the comments. Speaking about new hero, right? The other new hero that was added to the game is Alistar. Alistar's going in S+, man. One of the better supports in the game, right? The energy increase. The only thing I would ask is that it was energy and rage, so you could potentially run in with Vanguards. Mayhem, I saw you running your Vanguard team with Alistar. How's that going for you? You let me know. because I don't think that makes sense. But that's just me personally, right? But Alistar definitely, the field is big enough, no complaints there. Sometimes I feel like the layers are a little off, right? Because they didn't explain, like, when it comes to like take, right? Take have a similar effect where you can't do a certain amount of damage in single target, right? Who else also? So there's a couple other units that have that where you can basically one shot with single target. Yeah, AoE will go through, but single target damage is capped off at a certain percentage based off of your max HP. But Alistar definitely S plus. Get that guy to immortal. You can put him in majority of teams. The only team he probably won't work on is Vanguards because he doesn't regenerate rage. So definitely having him there is a must. So moving on, now we'll go to S tier. Looking at everyone there, the person that's gonna move is Becky. I'm gonna move Becky down to A tier. Reason being is that spacing for her. Her damage could be good, but again, it's just a spacing issue for me when it comes to the Vanguards. Again, I don't really use Vanguards, but I know that with her damage isn't the same. So having her there, maybe a potential awakening could bump her back up. But for right now, we're gonna move her down to A tier. Not a lot of movement in terms of the S tier. And S tier is good. Change A tier, S plus, and S. So the other change that we need to do now is bring in the new Awaken hero. So again, the first move we're gonna go with is this guy. This guy is literally, if he can, if he can steal HP, just know that he's nuking everything. So again, Kara, I'll give Kara S plus. Yeah, definitely. Kara definitely deserves S plus in situations where he can steal HP. Other than that, he's just okay. But then again, should you just give him S? Nah, he has to be an S plus because when he can steal HP, he's a one-man wrecking crew. Twilight Lands, he's destroying it if he can steal HP. And of course, post nerf, he was destroying Crimson Rod and also 18-7 by himself with no gears. A lot of these situations he can do it with no gear. So again, definitely like moving Kara up there to S plus. Another move we have to make is Amat. Amat is also moving up to S plus because she got an incredible awakening. And this is what I would love for a lot of these awakened heroes, where you get a big jump in terms of what you do, right? But Amat definitely is up there. In terms of damage dealing, I think she might be one of the #1 damage dealers in the game, right? Without, bugs and stuff like that. She's just that chick. And of course, she's a part of Team Annihilation, and so is Akai. And now Alistar might replace, what's her name, Servali. So again, she is a part of the main PvE meta team. So with her, definitely awaken her. Bring her to awaken 7 or 8 if you can, but additional damage to bugs, of course. That's going to help out. So moving up to S tier plus is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have Vaz. The thing with Vaz is I don't have him at awaken 7 yet. So my verdict on him is, my hunters are not really built out, right? So again, it's kind of, a toss up. So I'm just throwing it out there. Jason, if you awaken Vaz, bring it up to 7, let me know that in the comments. But right now, my assumption is he's probably going to be around here. Let's give him A tier. It's cool. Right? 7, maybe. He might show us something. They still need to rework his look. Let's fix that because he looks very tacky. I think that's that for Vaz. The other person I also got an awakening is Barag, right? Barag. I moved Barag up to 8 tier. Again, I just got him to awaken 7, so I'm gonna have to see what he brings to the table. But actually out DPS and Heindels in some situations. And I think he ends up being the one that does the most damage at Awaken 7 for the Vanguard. So definitely S there. Could even argue that he could be S plus. I think somebody's probably gonna tell me that in the comments, right? So again, maybe, yeah. that, I was I was gonna say S plus, right? Thinking that is in between two parts, right? But again, we'll have him in S, and maybe in the next one, because I'll use him more, we'll change that verdict. And of course, this tier list here is subject to change. It's just based off of what I've been seeing. So again, now for those that fast forward to this part, right? And for those that watch to this part, just know that I appreciate you either way. I want to thank you, of course. And we're still missing somebody. And of course, it's the big old elephant in the room, Loris. New SP that was added to the game. With her, she don't need attack speed, so then the Garen get thrown off because what do you run on her? That's also the question. You can run Sun Signet and Overload, possibly fade out. She dies a lot, right? Comes back to life. In terms of her damage, in PvE it's not that great, but for PvP, she's capable of nuking teams. Yeah, I tried to make that video. Long story short, the audio kicked out, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this over again. I'm just not. So I have her maxed out. We'll eventually see her in combat at some point. But again, for right now, where she is, based off of what I've seen, I want to give her. It's tough. It's between S and A, right? It really is tough. At 1 copy, she's not showing you nothing. At 2 copies, you're not seeing nothing. At 4 copies, maybe okay, right? 6, say alright, it's alright. And at max, it's like, oh great, right? So again, I'm gonna actually give her A. We'll just put her in A for right now, right? We'll put her in A tier because again, I haven't seen enough, and I don't know if they're gonna make a change in terms of her damage. I think one of her bigger problems is that she does true damage, right? Especially off of her ultimate, it becomes true damage, and true damage is sometimes limited because you can't crit. If you can crit, then the other question is, because she does true damage and she can crit, do you run attack gloves over crit rate gloves? It's just too much when it comes to Garen, right? See, do you run Unleash or do you run Fade Out? That's just too many questions. I don't like that. I like when it's straight cut. It's like, hey, I know I need 100% crit rate, right? Or I don't need crit rate at all, right? So again, adding on her attack becoming true damage actually throws things off. So again, she has a lot of things that annoys me about her. She jumps out of the circle of Alistar, right? Which is annoying. But again, that's what she has in her kit. So again, if you made this far in the video, the word of the day is finally, right? Finally did the tier list, made the changes there, added on the new heroes. I think we'll wait till another 4 heroes added to the game. We'll come back and make a change. That's pretty much what it is. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button for updates, guides, tier list, and of course, walkthroughs. I can finally say tier list now because we got the tier list, and of course I'll update the spreadsheet. And in terms of the tier list, this is it. For those that are rocking with me, let me know how you feel about the tier list. Without further ado, I want to thank you for watching. Until the next video, peace.